welcome back into VGMporium, video game music, and more. I am the proprietor and your host, Rage Cage, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some really awesome music. But before we get to that, if you haven't already, check out the last week's episode, which was Over the Top Characters with the Last Rican, former host of the VGM Fight Club, as well as the host of Senpai's Playlist and Oimatsuplex. And that is exactly as it sounds. He's talking about pro wrestling while Nobuo Uematsu's music is playing in the background. And hey, if this is your first time into the shop, you can find and follow VGMporium on all your favorite podcatchers such as Spotify, Apple, Google, Audible, Amazon, Stitcher, as well as on all those delightful social medias such as Twitter, Instagram, and Mastodon. That's at VGMporium, spelled VGMporium. Or if you'd like to go directly to the source, you can go to VGMporium.wordpress.com to find all the episodes, as well as all the links to everything I mentioned past, as well as the Discord if you're feeling a little adventurous. So now that gunky's out of the way, it's time to tell you about what today is about, and that is POW XI. What is POW XI? Well, it is the 11th in a series of shows over the last 11 years called POW, or POW. It's a show of nothing but video game music, so a lot of chiptune, covers, whatnot, that's linked to GDC, the Game Developers Conference that happens in San Francisco every year. And hey, it just so happens that I went to this show a couple weeks ago, on March 23rd, at the DNA Lounge, hosted by 8BitSF, called POW XI, and believe you me, it was well worth the 2-hour drive back home. I didn't get home until 3 o'clock in the morning and then had to get up at 7 o'clock to go to work. Well worth it. And the experience was all the better because my good buddy Wade, who was actually a guest on the show, episode 39, An Inexplicably Cute Sound, and shit just got wonky and wacky. I mean, there's no other way when we get together. But now it's time to get to the most important part of the show, both this one and POW XI, and that would be the musicians. And believe you me, they fucking killed it. So now, enough with the suspense. Who was it that played that night? Well, we had Animal Style, Button Masher, Danimal Cannon, and Mega Ran. There was a band that did play, I think they were called Crash Faster. I didn't really care for their music, honestly. I'm sorry if you happen to hear this and you hear me say that. Just, not my cup of tea. Not going to be having their music on here. But there was one more that was actually going to play that night that I was really excited for, but I wasn't able to make it because they tested positive for everybody's favorite word of the decade, COVID. And that would be the one and only Bit Shifter. And actually, we opened up the episode with his track, Reformat the Planet, from his 2006 album, Information Chase. So why would I start with something so early? Well, this is actually one of the first tracks I heard of his way back in the day, and it was actually one of my introductions to the music made with a Game Boy that wasn't from a Game Boy game. Made with a little magical cartridge called the LSDJ, which is Little Sound DJ. So now here's a chain of events for you. I found this track. I can't remember where I found it, but I really liked it. Looked up Bit Shifter, found this album, and which led me to 8-Bit Peoples, which is a site full of just awesome, amazing chiptune and chip music. And I think, if my memory serves, I made at least 3 mix CDs of nothing but music from 8-Bit Peoples. So now you may be wondering, a mix CD in 2006, 2007, what the hell are you doing? Well, hey, the only MP3 player I had at the time was my PSP, and that only could hold so much, with a memory stick and then all the save data and stuff. So, I had to do CDs. I didn't get a proper MP3 player until about maybe 2008, 2009. So get off my back here, okay? I did what I had to do. So yes, Bit Shifter, a highly influential figure in the modern chiptune scene. And I have it directly from the source, a huge inspiration for who we're going to be hearing from next, and that's going to be Animal Style, and this is going to be Dotted, coming from their self-titled album from 2013. and that was Dotted by Animal Style from their self-titled album from 2013. And this is the song that she started her set off with, and it was a really fucking strong start because she had, I got to talk to her after her set, and she said that she took this song and then fixed it up in the latest update of LSDJ, and holy shit. Like this original version right here, it's amazing, but the the version that she played up on stage that night was just insane. What she was pulling out of that little sound chip, that little Game Boy. It just, oh man, I wish if I could find that version online. If you could find that version online, look up POW XI, Animal Style, and yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about. Insanity. But as your ears can probably tell you, there's a lot more going on here than what just the Game Boy's outputting, and that being some mighty fine guitar playing and some drums that are being used in place of the percussion that you could get out of the LSDJ if you wanted. So now for her set that night, she actually only did 2 songs using the Game Boy. The rest were done using the M8 tracker, which is a handheld little tracker that's got a screen bigger than the Game Boy's, has some buttons on it that are kind of keyboard keys. But yeah, it's a tracker. And she did Super Nintendo style, using sounds from the Panel de Pon, or Tetris Attack as we know it here in the States, whilst shredding on her guitar. So, after her set, I did get to talk to her a bit, between the really loud music going on and then people also wanting to, talk to her and her, check out her merch. She did tell me that, she was using the M8 tracker for her SNES stuff, and what it is the creator of that M8 tracker did it off software update, which adds a thing in there that kind of emulates the SNES Echo, and what she does is that she pulls samples from the, SPCs through a little command line program that extracts the, the samples kind of in their compressed state. So in the .berr or the bit rate reduced, she then loads them up into the M8 and puts them into that pseudo SNES Echo effect, and bam, you got some really awesome pseudo SNES backing musics. So now, embarrassingly, I did not know about her until before the show. But, coming to it, I was wonderfully surprised by what she played. And I will definitely be diving more into what she has done and be looking forward to what she will be doing. And if you'd like to do this as well, just look up Animal Style. It's NMLSTYL. And here's something really cool. Just in the short time that she was in San Francisco, she actually left her glyphs strewn about the city in some places. So if you happen to be there, you live there, or you're just visiting, keep an eye out. If you're wondering what they look like, I'll be including it on the title cards. So again, keep your eyes open if you're ever in the city. So now, following her next on stage was someone I saw 5 months ago at DNA Lounge. Yes, this is Button Masher. And what I'm going to play here for you is Saber Rager, an original composition made using sounds from the game Run Saber. So that was Saber Rager, an original composition by Button Masher using sounds from the SNES game Run Saber. And as amazing as this song is, I'm a little disappointed he didn't use these samples here. They are an integral part of this entire soundtrack that is Run Saber. But digressing, another amazing performance by Jake Silverman here. It's crazy. It's like the second time I've got to see him in like under half a year. And he lives all the way in Baltimore, and yet he comes all the way to San Francisco to play these shows. And, the last time I saw him was 5 months ago at a show that was him, DJ Danny DeLorean, E.N. Cowell, and Ian Cowell, who actually I got to meet in person this time because he was all inundated with getting band stuff ready and other people's on the last show, so I actually got to talk to him for a good 10 minutes, and it was awesome, and there's a potentiality of him being on the show at some point in the future. But yes, back to Button Masher. Boy howdy, this guy knows how to play them keys. He knows how to rock that SPC 700, and the N163 he has mastered beautifully. And when he gets into these crazy solo jams and stuff, it's just crazy to watch his fingers go. It's insanity, and all the automations he has going to make the keyboard switch between all the different sounds and instruments and stuff. Wacky boy, this guy. Now here's a little fun fact if you haven't known already, is that he, alongside 8-Bit Big Band, were the first ones to win a Grammy for anything video game music related with their arrangement of Meta Knight's Revenge from Kirby Superstar. They did it so good that they opened up a whole new category in the Grammys for video game music. And so now, about Jake himself, he's one of the sweetest guys you could ever meet. And, just the brief moments I've got to talk to him, it's just been really nice. And, I hope someday we can actually, talk in person when there isn't, loud music going on or just so much going on. We can actually just kind of really, focus in and just get to talk. But possibly at MagWest? Who knows? But yes, I highly encourage you to follow this guy because he is making new music every other week. He's posting up a new cover. Just recently he did a cover of Song of Storms. He's doing chiptune versions of Thelonious Monk and Herbie Hancock and just a non-stop buddy. But we're going to take a little break here for a moment and tell you a little bit about the actual show itself. Outside of the music, in between the musicians, they would be playing a lot of video game music, some demo scene stuff, which I was surprised to hear, a lot of covers. One of them being September, done in the style of KK Slider, which I got a little video of my buddy Wade dancing, but then he saw me doing it. So, shh, be quiet, and then just push my phone down. Silly boy. And then outside of the main room in the DNA Pizza Hall, that's all I can call it, it's like a hallway, they had a couple tables set up with some game stations, for indie game developers, and one of them was this, I forget the name of it, but it was kind of like a team battle game, kind of like a mix between, the way how it worked was Asteroid and Smash, and it was weird. You get to choose your character, and you start off in a field, in a little spaceship that has asteroid physics, and then you go into a little room, and then your little guy pops out, and you're shooting and slashing, and then once you pop back out of that room, you go back to your ship, and it's trying to blast the other people's, and whoever survives wins, best out of 6. And then on the other station was this game that was beautifully illustrated. It was kind of like a flashback Prince of Persia style gameplay adventure game, and he had it on playing on a Steam Deck, and that was the first time I got to hold a Steam Deck, and it felt really nice, and it's another point towards possibly getting one in the future. I'm thinking. But now back into the main room, while Jake was playing this song, but Mega Ran actually came up beside me and was just listening, and was in awe at this guy, and we actually got talking about what game, because he had video playing of the game the sounds were from, and he was just asking about it, and I got to tell him Mega Ran about Run Saber, and it was a pretty cool experience. We were both just nerding out about video game stuff. And talk about sweet guys. Mega Ran, holy crap, he's got a heart of gold, but we'll get to that later because we're getting up to our next act, which is Danimal Cannon. And we're gonna play for you a track from a video game music soundtrack he done did. This is Suplex the Locomotive from Retromania Wrestling. and that was Suplex a Locomotive from Retromania Wrestling by Danimal Cannon. So now for his set, he played a mix of covers and originals, and for this song, he actually did it in a medley of other songs from this game as well as some DLC, and how he did it was playing this, along with some, embellishments and live guitar. And he explained this medley as something as kind of like, I want to say it's something like butt rock.
In the butt.
Exactly. But yes, no, this particular like medley set was just the perfect amount of cheese and rock and butt and cheese rock. Yes. The other track I was considering featuring for him was his cover of BFG Division from Doom, because but that one is a nearly 8-minute epic, and is just, I think it's better felt live because, damn. I don't really have much experience listening to Mick Gordon's soundtrack from Doom, but what, Danny did with his cover, like when he played it live, was just intense, insane. It's just like so many, I don't know how to explain it, just like the audio production on it, and just the guitar and everything. Is just, I don't have the best words to explain it. All I have to say is, check a video out of it, and if you can see him live, do it when he's playing that song, because it's just intense. Now, that aside, Danimal Cannon was one of the ones I was actually familiar with when I saw his name on the lineup for this show, and, I was kind of excited for that, and, because the first time I heard of him was back in 2011 with his album Roots from Ubiquitune, which is an album largely consisting of original Game Boy chiptune, made with LSDJ, with some of the songs having live instrumentation over them. And then through his second release on Ubiquitune in 2016 called Lunaria, which is another, more Game Boy chiptune, but with more live instrumentation over it, like him playing it, featuring some guests, including one of them being a piano cover done by Schnabubula, or Schnabubula, however you want to pronounce it. And then I haven't really listened to anything of his since then, so this is kind of a really cool, reintroduction, and, it's just a really awesome set. Just really cool to see him live. And he's got himself a really goofy sense of humor, which is a plus in my book. So now this brings us to the last act, but certainly not least, of the night, and that is Mega Ran. I'm going to play for you Comeback Player of the Year, Cruisin' Remix.
Hey, well, alright now. Yeah, it's Mega Ran and Kazoo. So put this in your Jeep and just cruise. Remember how in the 90s the Jeep was the vehicle to have. It's something like grandma with the cons on, wig blowing in the wind, go-to getting it shine on her from where legends are forged in the dirt. Not born, you gon' want to see this. Hold on to your popcorn. I used to have a handle on life, then it broke off. Went from being busy and booked to getting no calls. I've been sitting up in the house for what seemed like so long. That me and Kazu back, he put his foot in this joint. We gon' make it worth it. Thank you for the purchase or stream. We keep it hot like a furnace. Should be facing fines for what I do to mics. Kevin Harlan would say we had no regard for human life, but we too precise. Push limits further and further. Even Kevin Durant gotta spread the word of this murder. Trader campus murder. I was waiting for a payday. Put this in your system and cruise like KK. Yeah, yes, I've been booed, and yes, I've been cheated. Yes, I've been loved, and yes, I've been feed. Yes, I've been down, but yes, I'm still here. Guess I'm the comeback player of the year. Down 30, it's still early. Clear the way, I close deficits in a hurry. Down but not out, and that be a fact that I'm the comeback player of the year. Down 30, it's still early. Clear the way, I close deficits in a hurry. Down but not out, and that be a fact that I'm the comeback player of the year. Kill a couple rappers, but they did it to themselves. Been an actor since the quarantine, sitting on the shelves, gaining weight, but I'm back in the gym, keeping it challenging. Now we celebrate like it's Juneteenth in Galveston. Random beats, the tradition is strong. 30-point run, got the computer assistance on. I'ma need that salty run back, shorty, cause everybody likes a good comeback story. Yes, I've been booed, and yes, I've been cheated. Yes, I've been loved, and yes, I've been feed. Yes, I've been down, but yes, I'm still here. Guess I'm the comeback player of the year. Down 30, it's still early. Clear the way, I close deficits in a hurry. Down but not out, and that be a fact that I'm the comeback player of the year. Kazu Beats, we did it again. Yeah. I would say we back, but it's pretty obvious. But I like saying it. So we back.
And that was Comeback Player of the Year, Cruisin' Remix, originally by Mega Ran from his album Live 95, and remixed by Kazu Beats. And if I remember correctly, I believe he was saying that POW XI was like the first time that he's actually performed live since like the pandemic started, all the lockdowns and everything, and that this is the first time that he's done this particular version of this song live as well. And he saw it as kind of like an anthem for the fact that, we're all back. We're back to being able to have like live events where people could come together and listen to like live music. And, in the height of the pandemic, like in the lockdowns and everything, it's kind of hard to think of having something like this ever again. Like, because like stay 6 feet away, masks wear, all this stuff. But then, at this show, there were people there that were like, inches away from each other while the music was playing. And it was amazing to see, kind of like really thinking about it. So that night, March 23rd, we were all comeback players of the year. So Mega Ran was another one of the ones that I was kind of familiar with his name was on the lineup, but I haven't really listened to his stuff all too much, unfortunately. Like, I maybe heard some of his stuff back in the 2010s, on some podcasts, like, recently. And I kind of wish that I let myself really, like, get into his stuff back then, because it's really, really good. I mean, like, and he's a really, really nice guy. I mean, like, he actually shared a story where he and his wife actually adopted a newborn, and now a year and a half later, they're actually getting ready to sign adoption papers, and it kind of, like, actually touched me because, I may have mentioned here back, like, a while back, that I myself was in foster care for about a good year and a half, like, from when I was like maybe 9 to 11. And so him telling the story that, that he and his wife adopted this newborn who had a lot of physical, like, disability stuff going on because of how he was born, who was born to, and was going to physical therapy, and recently got out of that physical therapy because, one, like, he passed all the tests, and mostly because of the love that they gave to him, like, that they poured into this child that, would not have known love otherwise. So, after his set, I had to go find him, shake his hand, and let him know that, what he said, like, really touched me, and, that he was amazing. You are amazing, sir, if you're listening to this. And you want to know what else was amazing is that he actually pulled out a huge ass arm cannon that he put on his arm and actually had while he was singing his first song, which was basically his, Mega Ran theme. Yeah, and one more thing he did was, kind of towards the end of his set was, he had a bunch of people gather around in a circle. So he came down off stage and he did, like, what's your name freestyle. So he would go around, ask somebody, like, what's your name? And they would say their name, and then he would actually just freestyle based off, like, rhyming off their name and stuff. And it was just kind of a really cool. And also another cool example of just the fact that, we wouldn't have been able to do this, like, maybe a year and a half ago. Just another highlight that we're kind of returning to some form of normalcy, quote unquote, that we resembling what we kind of had before all the lockdowns happened, before COVID came, and, yeah. And there you have it. My take on POW XI. I'm really glad I decided to go. I'm glad I decided to, invite my buddy Wade. He's kind of one of my few VGM friends that I actually have. So it made the experience all the more enjoyable. And then, just everybody who played that night was just amazing. And if you'd like to get an idea of how amazing they are, I will be linking all their Bandcamps, respective links in the show notes, so you can go check out their music, buy their music, support them as you can, and hey, find out if they're going to be playing near you anytime soon. And I'd like to thank you all once more for coming into VGMporium, and if you're new to the shop, thank you again for being willing to check it out. And you can again find it at all those great places, all those places like Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Audible, as well as Twitter and Instagram, the website, VGMporium.wordpress.com. And then I've been your host, Rage Cage, RAYJKAYJ, and you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, as well as on SoundCloud, where I post all my original musics, a lot of chiptune stuff, and actually, recently, most of my music within the last 10 years has been featured on an episode of Nerd Noise Radio, so if you want to check that out, that'd be, kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing here. And hey, I got myself another guest coming into the shop. We got Professor Tom of Shujin Academy VGM Club. So, hey, you coming next week, check him out. We're going to be talking about investigations. So now, as of this recording, today is April 2nd, and they've just officially announced Ryuichi Sakamoto's passing on March 28th. And this is some pretty sad news because he was, like, a really big part of, like, the music communities. Like, he's made so much awesome music, like his work with Yellow Magic Orchestra. He's been like an inspiration for a lot of the Japanese composers that we've kind of grown up listening to in video game music. Names like Yuzo Koshiro, Masashi Hamauzu, Hitoshi Sakamoto, like Motoi Sakuraba, and just so many more. And like the most amazing thing is that he, up until his passing, he was just constantly making music. Like it was just like his, like, his life force. And this might be a good time to check out the documentary from 2017, Ryuichi Sakamoto Coda, which is kind of like a look back on his musical career as well as his involvement in like a lot of movements and protests following the Fukushima and the 2011 tsunamis that happened in Japan, as well as his reignition into being able to create music following his cancer diagnosis. And though it may seem out of place to kind of bring this up on like this episode of all things, I feel like it is kind of appropriate because this show was a celebration of video game music, because like all of it was like, covers or stuff inspired by video game music. And Ryuichi Sakamoto, again, was a huge inspiration for those that created that video game music that we were celebrating. So to close out the show, I'm going to be playing one of my favorite pieces of his, and also one of my favorite of his performances. It's a 2009 live performance of Thousand Knives, whereas he is playing the piano and then has a second piano that is automated to play alongside him. I do hope you do decide to listen to the song all the way through, because it is a really beautiful piece. It's 5 minutes long, but it's well worth it. And again, hope you decide to come in next week. And again, just keep the music alive.